It is officially safe to say that Kevin Young's golden touch, it knows no bounds.
You are Locked On Cougars, your daily podcast on the BYU Cougars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into Locked On Cougars, your daily podcast focused on the BYU Cougars. I'm Jake Hatch, executive producer of the KSL Sports Zone in Salt Lake City and a 13-year credentialed media member at BYU. I am your resident expert and insider on this here podcast as your host. And as always, thank you for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. And today's show, by the way, is brought to you by our friends over at Monarch Money. Take control of your finances today. Go to monarchmoney.com, use the promo code Locked On College, and get 50% off your first year. All right, coming up on today's show, we're going to talk about Kevin Young and everything that he has said about BYU basketball since the day he arrived on campus has come 100% true, and it proved it even more last night in the NBA draft. Then we'll talk about Egor Demin headed to the Brooklyn Nets. It's actually, I think, a really, really nice fit for the former BYU star guard. And we'll finish up today's show on the football front, as there's been a bit of a debate that's erupted around Ryder Lions and his decision to serve a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And frankly, I don't know why, but we'll get into that. All right, so right at the outset of this conversation, Kevin Young said in a media session last year when he goes out on the recruiting trail and essentially is asked by recruits about why they should pick BYU, he used the quote, "It's not hypothetical," unquote. And what he meant by that is everything that BYU is endeavoring to do with him as the head coach of the BYU men's basketball program is geared around making sure that players in the program are going to have opportunities to live their dreams. Now, last night, Egor Demin hears his name called with the number 8 overall pick going to the Brooklyn Nets. I think it's absolutely proof in concept of what Kevin Young has been trying to get across, I think, to everybody out there when he says, quote, "It's not hypothetical," unquote. He knows what he's doing. Kevin Young worked in the NBA for a really, really long time. He grinded. He was a G League coach, a head coach in the G League, and then got his chance as an assistant coach. And he's been a player development guy for quite literally years. He knows what it takes for players to, A, emerge from college, and B, go on to the NBA and C, in theory, have success in their NBA careers. Now, a guy like Egor Demin, he's just the first of what we hope will be many during the tenure of Kevin Young as BYU basketball head coach to hear their names called in the NBA draft. Remember, we entered last season when Egor Demin showed up at BYU with him being projected as a top 5 overall pick. Well, after he had some struggles early on and kind of the midway point of the season, it felt like he had dropped out, according to some reports, out of the lottery. Well, it just so happens he ends up at number 8. He's a top 10 overall pick. Oh, wow. Dropped real far from a projected top 5 pick to number 8. That's going to only bolster and embolden a guy like Kevin Young when it comes to when he goes out on the recruiting trail, more so now as he tries to sell guys on his vision for them in BYU or at BYU with his basketball program. He wants it to be the most NBA-like. I would consider BYU to be a G League adjacent type program right now, if not an NBA adjacent type program, because they have got NBA personnel up and down the roster. And what I mean by that is they've got a nutritionist, they've got analysts who've worked in the NBA, they have got coaches who have worked in that league, obviously led by Kevin Young. They have got a GM who's got an NBA background. They've also got a trainer who was working with guys like Giannis Antetokounmpo with the Milwaukee Bucks. He has brought in everything that he possibly can to make sure these guys, speaking of the players inside the BYU basketball program, have every advantage to get to the next level. The best part about this is Egor Demin, as I mentioned, is just the start here. Next year, the odds-on favorite, if you've been paying attention, for the number 1 overall selection in the 2026 NBA draft, you can almost guarantee that Adam Silver will be calling the name AJ DeBonsa. Now, we had a good friend of the show, speaking of DJ and PK, but he's also a good friend of the Locked On Podcast Network because he hosts his podcast on this network. That is Rafael Barlow. If you have not checked out NBA Big Board, would highly encourage you to subscribe to his newsletter. Now I'm telling you how to spend your money, but I subscribe to it. It's absolutely worth its weight in gold, in my opinion. But he also does a podcast. But he joined DJ and PK on the KSL Sports Zone yesterday. And the question from PK was, hey, we're excited around Utah, obviously, because of AJ DeBonsa and what he's going to bring to BYU. Is it worth tanking essentially for him again? And the quote that Rafael Barlow mentioned is that, yeah, he had a college coach that was at the U.S. Junior National Team workouts, the U19 workouts, that AJ DeBonsa is a part of that team as they head over to the World Cup of Basketball beginning this weekend. He said that if AJ DeBonsa, he said he would have encouraged AJ DeBonsa to petition the NBA to allow him to enter the NBA draft right now, because this college coach said he would be the number 1 overall selection in the NBA draft, which happened last night. And you know, this guy named Cooper Flagg. Yeah, this coach, and I've heard it from other people, say that AJ DeBonsa would have been the number 1 pick over Cooper Flagg. That is absolutely incredible to consider that we've got that type of talent headed this way to Provo, Utah. But once again, it only adds to the tale, the lore, the legend that is Kevin Young. He has proven everything he set out to do when he arrived at BYU, and all of it has been just 2 thumbs up across the board. It's absolutely remarkable what he has accomplished. And I got to tip my cap to him, because it felt like at times it was a little braggadocious, some of the stuff he was saying. Because when you say it's not hypothetical, unquote, when you haven't had a track record of guys going to the NBA before you do it, well, yeah, it can come off as a little haughty. It can come off as a little like, hey, what's this guy talking about? Well, he's now got he can walk the walk, because he's talked the talk now. And that's the best part about this is BYU. They are a force in college basketball. They are going to be producing talent year after year for the foreseeable future for the NBA. I mentioned AJ DeBonsa. I cannot forget that Richie Saunders next year in the NBA draft is likely to be a candidate to be selected. If you see the progression of Keba Keita continue, he's an absolute physical freak, and he actually fits the mold of what a lot of NBA teams are looking at, a 6'8" big man who's got the reach and the athleticism to defend the rim, but also has everything that you want, maybe a more traditional 7-footer. So Kevin Young finally has, as I mentioned, the backup to back up his words. And it's cool to see that, because he has been straightforward about what he hopes to accomplish with BYU. They made a run to the Sweet 16 with AJ DeBonsa, Richie Saunders, Keba Keita, Robert Wright III. By the way, Robert Wright III, 4 of his Montverde Academy teammates went in the first round of last night's NBA draft. Jeez. And that, by the way, he was no slouch on that time on that team either. Speaking of Montverde Academy. So there is a ton of talent for Kevin Young to work with at BYU, but he has proven yet again that, quote, it's not hypothetical, unquote, is 110% true. It's truer today than it ever was before the time he uttered it last season. All right, coming up next, Egor Demin. What is he going to do in Brooklyn? I think it's actually a really, really fine fit, and we'll get into that next right here on Locked On Cougars. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Monarch Money. Now, obviously, all of us want to save some extra money, but if you ever wished to manage your money and you felt easier, well, with Monarch Money, it can be just that. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. The best part is Monarch Money is more than just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center where you can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth along the way. The best part is if you've tried to keep track, it feels like of every account you have financially, it can feel like you've got a gazillion apps. This can bring it in the house to essentially one app where you have a one-stop shop to make sure you track all the financial goals and everything else you're trying to accomplish in your life right there with Monarch Money. And the best part is, have you ever looked at your spending and surprised how fast it adds up? Well, Monarch Money can help you manage that as well. So take control of your finances and do it with Monarch Money. Use the promo code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, promo code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. Thank you once again for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. Please continue to subscribe if you have not done so wherever you're listening and or watching this podcast. Rate and review the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and the like. Leave us a comment or two in the YouTube comments. Always appreciate all of y'all's patronage. We're having just an absolute killer 2025. And hey, BYU's helping with all the big news they're making out there. All right, let's take some time and talk about Egor Demin's fit with Brooklyn. Now, this is not Locked On Nets. That'll actually be a different podcast. I would encourage you guys to go check that out if you want some thoughts on Egor Demin. But here's the deal. The Brooklyn Nets, I think, if I'm not mistaken, made an NBA record last night by selecting 5 first-round picks. I didn't believe for a second going into the night, because they had the 5 first-round picks, that they would select all those players. Now, they made the selections, but the highest of the bunch at number 8 overall is one Egor Demin. Now, that is really cool to see that happen. I already talked about Rafael Barlow. Check out NBA Big Board, but he put out his draft grades, the lottery grades, I should say, for what he made of the first half of the first round. And he said this about Egor Demin, quote, Egor Demin to the Brooklyn Nets was the first big shocker of the night. I was surprised. The fit is interesting. Brooklyn entered the night with 5 first-round picks, so they have the flexibility to swing for upside or simply take the guy they liked most. I'm pretty sure the happiest man in Brooklyn right now is Cam Thomas. Known for never being shy about getting shots up, Cam now gets to play alongside arguably the best passer in the draft. Demin is a tall, unselfish playmaker with excellent positional size, and he'll consistently find Thomas when he gets hot. While I didn't see this pick coming, I get the vision. If Demin pans out, the Knicks could look like geniuses for grabbing him at number 8. Some high praise. And the best part about this is Egor Demin is going to have an opportunity to play right away, because the Nets, they're in full-on rebuild mode. You don't select 5 rookie players without planning on, hey, we're going to throw these guys on the court and see what we got. Egor Demin's going to play a lot as a rookie, and I think that's an ideal situation for him to be able to get on the court, show what he's capable of. And I'll reiterate something I've said multiple times on this podcast if you're an everydayer. I sincerely believe that Egor Demin is going to be a far better NBA player than he ever was as a college basketball player. The rules in college prohibited him from really, I think, achieving what he truly can achieve as a basketball player. The rules in the NBA, where you can't grab onto guys, the freedom of movement, the spacing, it is going to allow Egor Demin to thrive at just an incredible level. Get ready for the Egor Demin show in Brooklyn. Now, if you're living on the West Coast or out here in Utah in the Mid-Mountain time zone, track in Brooklyn can be a little tougher, but I still think it's worth keeping an eye on. I know Cougar fans, y'all love your former Cougars in the pros, and I'm sure that we will see plenty of updates with Egor doing his thing at the Barclays Center next season. But when he comes through Utah, I would imagine there'll be a huge BYU contingent at the Delta Center when the Jazz take on the Brooklyn in their one game in Salt Lake City to root him on. But I learned something also from a dear friend who is from New York City, who actually texted me. This came in like at 9:30 at night last night. I have to look at the timestamp of when I tweeted it out. But he said, hey, Jake, you probably don't know this. And I truly did not know this. So I swear to whatever that I did not know this ahead of time. But they told me that, did you know that the highest concentration of Russians in the Western Hemisphere, outside of Russia, the highest concentration of Russian expats in the entire Western Hemisphere, entire country, I guess, country, world, whatever you want to say, is in Brooklyn, New York. There is a neighborhood called Brighton Beach. It's near Coney Island. For those of you who are familiar with the layout of the boroughs in New York City, well, Brighton Beach, apparently they call it Little Odessa, which is a region in Russia that apparently this caters to Eastern European influence and Russians. And Egor Demin is going home in a way. He is going to have every comfort, it seems like, of his home in Moscow. He talked about the fact that he feels like the hustle and bustle of New York City feels a lot like his homeland or where he's from in Moscow. Cool. I love that. And I love the fact that he's going to be comfortable and at least have some of the comforts of home closer to him than maybe they were in Provo, Utah. And that's no slight on Utah. Trust me. Travis Hansen, who lived in Russia and played there and has been one of the chief advisors to Egor Demin, I'm sure that Travis would have no disagreement with what I'm saying there. It's going to be an ideal fit for Egor Demin. I think this is a home run for this young man. And once again, I really do think he should have a great opportunity to get on the court very early on, if not starting game 1 for the Brooklyn Nets next season. And let's see what he's got. Roll the ball out, see what he's capable of, because I'm bullish on what Egor Demin can mean for the Brooklyn Nets. And I look forward to seeing how he does. I will obviously be sure to pass along updates as they come along. We'll pass along any news we hear, but I look at his fit, his passing ability, and if the shooting, by the way, he showed in pre-draft workouts, which was such a knock against him, it felt like, from teams, if that truly has come along, that's only going to make it easier to put him on the court. The other thing he's going to have to do in the NBA that he's going to have to prove is he can, continue to bulk up. I saw a report, somebody put it up that he's gained 17 pounds during his time at BYU. Well, he could probably pack on another 20 or 30 and still look like he's got a pretty thin frame, but he'll need to bulk up and also prove that he can guard his yard. And what that means is you got to be able to defend your position. Whoever you are put out on the court against, you have to be able to defend them in space. NBA is all about spacing, and if you can't defend that is a knock against you. So those are the things that Egor's got to prove. But I think his preternatural abilities, his length, his athleticism, his vision, his passing, and if the shooting has truly come along, yeah, you put him on the court, see what you got. I think it would be a really, really nice thing for Brooklyn to have him in the fold and see what he's capable of. All right. I don't have much more than that on Egor Demin. So if you're looking for more, check out Locked On Nets, check out NBA Big Board. I'm just stumping here for a bunch of our podcasts on the Locked On Podcast Network, but we got good people who do great things literally nationwide and internationally in many respects. But encourage you guys, check out those podcasts if you want more on Egor Demin in the coming hours, days, weeks, whatever it might be. All right, coming up next, we're going to flip over and talk a little football. There's been a bit of a debate that's erupted online that I've noticed about Ryder Lions and his plans for mission service. We'll try to make heads and tails of why it's become such a hot topic and if it really is that big of a deal. Stay tuned. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Rougiette. Now, if you're a guy, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis, and probably you've even tried them, my friends. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rougiette Ready. Rougiette is a next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal and also boost blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Rougiette's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast, on average, in 15 minutes. Effects can last up to 36 hours as well. And the best part is if traditional options haven't worked for you, Rougiette might be the answer with over 150,000 men who've already made the switch. And the best part is you can have even read real customer reviews on their site. It's helping a lot of men feel more confident and present in the moment. So take advantage today. Head to Rougiette.com if you're interested. Use the promo code LockedOnCollege. You get 15% off today. That's Rougiette.com/LockedOnCollege and use the promo code LockedOnCollege for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit the Rougiette website for full safety information. Thank you once again for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. Appreciate all of you for being with us. If you have not signed up for the Locked On Cougars Insider Group, I would encourage you to do so. Just a little bit of an insight. I sent out an update to our Locked On Cougars Insider Group, and any of you who are members know I sent this out and said, hey, keep an eye on this. Per the people I'm talking to about the NBA draft, Egor Demin is expected to go between 8 and 13, and I listed 5 different teams that were interested in Egor Demin. The first of which, at number 8, the Brooklyn Nets, and guess who took him? The Brooklyn Nets. Just saying. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. Is that the right phrase? But hey, sign up for the Locked On Cougars Insider Group and get the inside scoop on all things BYU coming to your phone in the form of a text message. Link is in the show notes below, and join us. 14-day free trial, by the way, before you're charged a single penny, and just $5 a month to be a part of the Insiders Group. All right, let's finish up today's show and talk about Ryder Lions. Now, the Ryder Lions situation is obviously it's a massive, massive get for the BYU football program to have him in the fold because he is the best prospect, in my opinion, in BYU football history. I know that Ofa Mohetau was the highest rated back in 2002. It's been 22 years since BYU had a 24/7 sports composite 5-star player commit to the program. The other 5-star top shelf quarterback talents that have come through BYU, well, a lot of people are down on them because Ben Olsen, you look at the Jake Heap situation. I get why people are down on this. But the bigger debate that's kind of erupted is besides Ryder Lions and his commitment to BYU being just absolutely incredible, because that's exactly what it is. It's absolutely incredible. I'm seeing some people in the chatter online about, hey, he's serving a 1-year mission. This has got to be a thing that the church is allowing. Okay, let me reiterate, talking to people who would know, we're talking directly from missionary, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints missionary department. Let's just put it that way. People who legitimately are in this every single day. Ryder Lions is going to accept a 2-year call, and that's what it says in the call. It says you are anticipated to serve for 2 years if you're a male. It's 18 months if you're a female serving a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ. Now, he can decide at any point, as can literally anybody who serves a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ, to leave their mission at any time they want. Now, some people need to leave for different reasons. There's medical, mental health concerns, all kinds of different reasons, but it is an at-will situation. So let's make it very clear. You can pass this along to any Utah State, or any other fan across college football who is bagging on the fact that BYU is getting a supposed advantage by allowing a guy like Ryder Lions to go on just a 1-year mission. It's not a thing. It is a 2-year call. He will decide if and when he decides to come home. His older brother, Walker Lyons, did accept a 2-year call to Oslo, Norway, and served 14 months. That is fact. It is truth. You can look at the record. It's what it is. I don't fault anybody for serving a mission. My mission, I can tell you, was absolutely life-changing for me. Not to get too deep into the weeds here, but I went to my 20-year high school reunion 2 weeks ago or something like that, and I had more than one person say, Jake, you were such a quiet individual in high school. I knew you knew what you knew about sports, but you were not as outspoken as you are on your podcast and your radio career and everything. And my direct response was, it's because of my mission in Taiwan. Don't ask me why, don't ask me how, but it forced me to open my mouth and talk. And that's what I do for a living now, literally every single day. I can point back directly to my service in Kaohsiung, Taiwan, as the reason why I'm, in many respects, doing what I'm doing today. I love the fact that Ryder Lions is giving up, whether it's 12 months, 14 months, or 24 months. I don't care how long he serves a mission for. The best part is he is putting forth a good example and being willing to step aside from God-given talent and a potential of being a starting quarterback for BYU as soon as next season to go and serve. Think about that. I don't get how people are bagging on this. It is absolutely incredible that a young man, the caliber of Ryder Lions, is willing to serve for any length of time. And that's exactly what you're doing. You're serving when you go out into the mission field for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I don't mean to get too upset about this, but for the life of me, I don't get why this is an issue. He's going to serve a mission. This is a kid who people think maybe in 3 years' time, if he were really set on playing football right away, could be in the NFL draft in 3 years' time, before the end of the decade. But he's going to give up at least an entire year, a year of development, a year of working with trainers, throwing footballs every single day in the weight room, all that stuff. He's giving all of it up. So you know what? People that want to get upset about him serving a mission and want to say it's a supposed advantage, it's not an advantage. Trust me. I came home and I'm nowhere near the athlete. I can only dream of having like a pinky's worth of the talent that Ryder Lions has. And I came home in far worse shape than when I left on my mission. And I was in okay shape. I was never going to play collegiate sports. I was never going to be a potential NFL draft pick. The fact that he's stepping aside for a year, don't bag on that. Either way, it's absolutely incredible that he's willing to give that up. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he accomplishes in a Cougar uniform. Speaking selfishly, I would love to see him on campus next year just because he's got this prodigious talent. And what could it mean for the BYU football program? Could it truly elevate them to Big 12 contender status? Could he become the guy that leads BYU to that promised land they hope to make in the college football playoff and have a chance to truly challenge for a national championship? Well, I'd like to see that, but guess what? He's given up a year of time, and I love the fact that he's willing to do so. I think it's a great example. I'm an active member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I know I have guys and gals out there who have been members of the church, former members, never been a member, and probably don't understand what he is doing. But guess what? I think it's an incredible example of his selflessness to go out and do what he's doing. So whether you think I'm crazy for even bringing up this topic, I've seen it erupt online. I've had plenty of conversations with people on social media and real life via text message and the like, trying to clarify what's going on. But my bigger overarching point is I love the fact that he's willing to step aside and go and do it. And I look forward to the day he arrives on BYU campus. Could it be that he ends up finding a situation when he arrives in Provo that the quarterback positions belonging to a Bear Bachmeyer and Enoch Watson, whoever it might be? That very well could be the case. But knowing what I know, people that know Ryder Lions have passed along to me, he's completely unafraid of that. And he wouldn't be giving up the time to go on a mission if he felt like his potential of being the starting quarterback for BYU, living his dream of chasing big wins, titles and the like in college football, and then ultimately going to the NFL and being a draft pick at the NFL level. I think he's an absolute dog in that respect. He's got all the size. He's 6'2". He's built like a Mack truck. Look at those legs that kid's got. He's 225 pounds going into a senior year of high school football. It's absolutely incredible what a physical specimen he is. He's got an electric arm, live arm that can make every throw. He's got dual threat capability, and he has bought wholeheartedly into what BYU's doing. If you listen to or read what Dick Harmon wrote, he was up until 2 a.m. Ahead of his announcement on the Pat McAfee show, and apparently barely slept a wink because they recorded his hit at 7 a.m. the following morning as he was going back and forth on his decision. Oregon was trying to entice him to, hey, flip his commitment. Guess what? It's awesome to see him being a BYU Cougar. And I, for one, I can't wait to see him whenever he shows up in Provo. Like I said, I don't care how long of a mission he's serving. That's his prerogative. It's his decision. Don't fault him for anything. In fact, praise him. I think most Cougar fans are praising the fact that he's going out and serving a mission. I welcome your feedback, but I think it's absolutely incredible how selfless he's being. And this may come off as sappy, but just knowing what a mission meant for me, knowing what missions meant for siblings of mine, friends of mine, and it means different things for different people. And some people have poor mission experiences. I can freely acknowledge that as well. But I love the fact that this is a kid who's willing to set aside an extremely lucrative opportunity when it comes to NIL and the like, but he's going to step aside for a year at least, and then come home and suit up for the BYU Cougars. I think it's a fantastic example. I wish him nothing but the best. And hey, from one former return missionary to a future missionary in Ryder Lions, props to you, Ryder. All right, that's going to do it for today's edition of the podcast. As always, truthfully, thank you for all y'all's support. Please continue to subscribe, rate, and review the show. If you'd like to advertise with us, reach out. LockedOnBYU@gmail.com is the email address. And as always, thank you for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. And once again, thank you for being an everydayer right here on the Locked On Cougars podcast.